So my buttons have mostly worn off. I apologize. The top one is mode. And then this one is start and stop. And then this is the light, which may or may not be able to see, is just a dim backlight for the LCD display here. So across the top, it says self, int, period, long, and frames. So self is like self-timer, how long to wait before doing any of the things you've programmed to do. Int is for interval, so how much time in between each shot. Long is how long the shot you want to go. So that enables you with the bulb mode to do 2-minute exposures, for example, for the star trails. And then frames is how many pictures you want it to take. And so I usually set that to 0, which implies keep taking it forever until you stop it. So the modes, when you press it, it cycles through the top. There's an icon underneath each of those words to indicate which you're on. So I have to look, yep. So, okay, we're on self now. Then the interval is this white and black frame, just alternating. Long is, I believe it's a S shape, right? Yep. So what I'll do for the star trails is set up it with the interval to be 1 second. So, and then I just had it to start. So then this is telling my camera every second to take a picture. So then I can set my camera settings to say 30 seconds. What I might do for a time lapse actually is 30 seconds. And then it's going to take, all through that, the camera is ignoring the take another picture signal while it's already taking a picture. So then as soon as possible after that one is finished, it's going to take another. So for the star trails, I would go to the long mode, set it to 2 minutes, say. So you use the dial on the side, you press in to sort of click, if you will, and then you can rotate it and click again to move to the minutes and hours. So set that to 2 minutes, and then still the interval is 1 second because you want it to start the next 2-minute shot as soon as possible. And the frames is on 0 to keep taking for as long. I just let it go until my battery runs out. Pixels, digital film is cheap, right? And the self-timer, I might use that if I were to set up my camera for the star trails during the day so that I can see everything, and then tell it, okay, only start taking pictures 4 hours from now to save my battery until it's dark. Because the same settings really don't work for if doing that time lapse between day and night is really difficult to pick some exposure that will work. Even auto isn't good enough to vary that. So this is a really key item for both the star trails and the time lapse kind of photography that we'll be talking about, the settings wise. And while we're doing close-up zooms, I wanted to try and explain how to focus with live view so that in the dark you can best see, rather than like looking through the optical viewfinder is really dim. So I don't have good enough vision or sensitive enough eyes to really be able to focus on the dimmest of stars. So what you can do, if you're doing it through the optical viewfinder, is focus off the moon if you have that, or find the brightest star, focus, and then change your composition. But to really be most precise, when you hit the start-stop to go into live view on the 5D Mark III here, it's different on different Canons. Maybe, can I set it on the table and still have you see it with the right angle of reflection? So to demonstrate, maybe I'll zoom in because focusing it telephoto is the hardest. So here in the studio, it would be easy enough to just manually focus and look at the live view and get it close. You can also just turn it to infinity and then come slightly back as a good starting point. But then I'm going to zoom in, pressing the magnifying glass button or the magnifying plus on the old 5D Mark II, which is still a great camera for doing this sort of thing. Do it twice, so I'm at a 10x zoom, and I'm gonna pick a bright star to put inside that little box. You can move the live view zoom in with this little joystick button around. So I'll put that box over a star and then slightly make the very fine adjustments in order to make sure that I've got critically sharp focus. So I'll use the edge of that wall over there and get it in exactly right on the stars. So that's my trick for getting the best possible focus. But as we mentioned earlier, of course, by focusing on the stars, you're sacrificing the focus on the foreground. So keep that in mind. But when your subject is the stars, it's okay to let your foreground be a little soft because people are looking at the Milky Way.